Well, happy Father's Day to you, whether you're a father, you have a father, your father to some four-legged or little critters. It's a day to celebrate. It really is. If we haven't met yet, I'm Sandra Champlain. And for many, many weeks, over 2 years, we've been coming together at this time on a Sunday or Monday morning for our friends down under to celebrate life and celebrate the reality of the afterlife and to bring some joy and comfort and faith and empower you for the week ahead. So I'm not going to say too much more. I'm going to turn it over to our friend Darren, who's created our theme for today, and then we'll get started. But we sure are glad you are here. Welcome.
Thank you for that, Sandra, and thank you, and a massive welcome to all of you. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so I'm going to do my best because I wanted to be part of this because I've missed the past 2 Sundays. I've been lucky enough to be in Scotland on a course with some of you lovely people, and I know we met people up there that said they'd come and see the Sunday gathering week in and week out, and we got the same comments. You look taller when you're not online. You look different when you're not online. And I'm sure we all do because you only see our head and shoulders. So massive welcome to all of you. I'm glad to be back, I can say, sounding a bit rough. But with me today, we have Sandra, the hostess with the mostess, who will be doing today's healing and part of the address and the announcements towards the end. We have the wonderful duo Phil and Kerry, who will be doing the opening prayers, the closing prayers. They'll also be doing part of the address and they'll be doing the mediumship. So I look forward to a great day with all of you. Yes, as Sandra said, happy Father's Day to you. I know we celebrate it here in the UK today, but also in the USA and South America. And I know for other countries in Europe and Asia, they celebrate at different times of the year. But why not celebrate it today? You know, you don't have to have that special day earmarked for Father's Day. It can be celebrated any day you like. And it's not just the fathers out there. It's anyone that's played that role of father. You know, it could be grandfather, it could be a friend. And it can even be those ladies amongst you out there. You know, we've got these mothers out there that played the role of mother and father. So I didn't want to make today just about fathers. I think we need to think about quite a few people that we could all regard as fathers. So I decided to do it as words from the heart. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Kerry McLeod to open us up in prayer.
Thank you very much, Darren. And it's an absolute delight to be here on a day that is very special around about the globe for fathers and people who reach out and have taken on that responsibility, whether it be four-legged or two-legged. We all take our roles seriously when we take on that role of father. But allow us to open up this gathering in prayer. Divine and ever-present Father and Mother, that creative force, that creative and sacred force that brought us together within this world. We recognize in others what we recognize in ourselves, but often we recognize in our parents what we recognize in ourselves too. During this time together, may we remember those that have mattered to us, those that have loved us, those that have shaped us and influenced us to be exactly who we are now. May we also gain an understanding of what their life might have been like that shaped them, that then helped them shape you. We recognize that spark of the divine in each of us, and today we bring everybody together in that words from the heart, saying what's right, saying what's true, saying what's honestly within our very being. Allow our gathering to begin. Amen.
Thank you very much, Kerry. And I want to pick up a little bit where you left off as we move into our healing. Mom and I were watching the news this morning, and as they were talking about Father's Day, they said in America alone, there are 17.5 million children that are being raised by their moms and don't have a dad present in their life. And I thought, oh my gosh. And, you know, I think about myself, and there's a lot of us that are a little bit older in our generation, and we've had both parents or even both parents for a little while. Lots of divorce happened, but we had a little bit of taste of having a dad in our life. And so my heart broke a little bit. So I was thinking about that for our healing today. And I think there's all of us at one point or another could have blamed our parents for things not being just right in our life. Would you say that's true? You don't have to raise your hand, but something in your life, oh, well, I'm like my mom, or I'm like my dad, or whatever that may be. And I remember taking a course years ago, and they brought up that very point that so many of us have baggage. And if only we didn't get this from our parents, or only if our parents had done this differently. So the instructor had said, could everyone in the age of 17 to 22 please stand up? That was in the course. It's probably about 100 people in the course. And all these people stood up. And he says, okay, we would like you all to just stand in the front of the room. So they all proceeded to stand in the front of the room. And he said to the rest of us, he says, now I want you to look at these people. So you see all these young folks, right? As you would imagine, 17 to 22-year-olds would be. He says, these are your parents. This is probably the age your parents were when they had you, for most people. And there was something that happened in that moment that I'm hoping happens with all of us today, that we're able to look at these young faces and think they were just kids themselves. They did absolutely the best they could with what they had. And in that moment, there was forgiveness, there was understanding, there was compassion. So as we're moving into our healing today, if you need to just say a little something to mom or dad and let go whatever that business is you have, great. If not, no problem. But whatever those folks did that came before us, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, as awful as stuff may have happened for them and in their lives, and the baggage that they accrued that now maybe we have, imagine everything had to happen exactly how it did for them, for you to be here. And you, my friend, are a miracle. You are. And there's so much good within you. So for our healing segment today, I'd like us all just to sit in gratitude. I think gratitude is the greatest prayer going. Gratitude for who you are, gratitude for those who came before you, even if you didn't like it, even if you weren't talking to them, or you may not be talking to them. Just make peace. I have said this before about my favorite fortune cookie. The best place to stand in an argument is on the other person's side. The thing is, we've never walked in the shoes of anyone else other than ourselves. So we'll have some compassion and just spend this song, You Raise Me Up, in gratitude. You do that for me, for us, for healing. All right, here we go.
Thank you very much for that choice of song, Darren. It's a beautiful song, and I also know it's one of Sandra's favourites. So well done for choosing that for the healing segment. It's our pleasure to be able to deliver the address for you. Sandra, Phil and I will be doing that, but it was also Phil and I's pleasure earlier on today, your last night if you're down under, to deliver a service online for another establishment. And in that, I had the pleasure of delivering the address. And there's some words that resonated with me that I haven't been able to move on from. And I thought, well, how am I going to be able to bring that into an address, linking that to Father's Day? But actually, it doesn't need to be the one day that's Father's Day, doesn't it? Because really every day should be Father's Day and Mother's Day and Daughter's Day and Son's Day and Wife's Day and Husband's Day, I suppose, as well. Every day should be that day, shouldn't it? We really, really don't know. We hope it's not, but we don't know when our last day of drawing air on this beautiful planet. We really don't know until we go to the place where we don't even need to breathe. But we should be, as Sandra said, really filled with gratitude. Gratitude for everything we have. Because when we fully have gratitude in our hearts, we don't focus on what never went right or what didn't happen or we didn't have. Because something Sandra said, and I've never heard it said before, the young people that you see walking about are the equivalent of who our parents were when they had us. I think that's a beautiful way of putting it. I remember when I had my daughter, I was in my 20s. I was a grown-up, so I thought, but I think I'm more grown-up now. But how more grown-up will I be when I'm even more older than I am now? But I couldn't have known how young at heart and in mind I was when I found out I was pregnant. And when the fathers around about the world found out that they were about to be a father, we couldn't have ever imagined, because there's not a manual comes with it. And in that space where we find out about being the parent, don't we worry? I certainly did, and I imagine you did too. Whether you have a child of your own, whether you have had a child come into your family, whether you've had nieces and nephews or godchildren, whether your children have 2 legs and feathers, or whether your legs have 2 legs or 4 legs and fur, it doesn't matter. You're still the responsible person that feels that they're responsible for that other thing, that baby, that young animal, that young human being. And it doesn't come with a manual. But boy, do we have regrets. I know Mother's Day was earlier on, and I got a beautiful card from my daughter saying how proud she was that I was her mom and all lovely, lovely things. But if I were to write a card to her, mine might say something different, but it wouldn't be anything I haven't already said to her, because her and I, and we have it within our family, and I know the others here in the We Don't Die team are of the same way. We share what our truth is. We say it from the heart. We don't hold back. I know that in my family, it wasn't the done thing to say, I love you. We did it in actions. We fed, we clothed, we cleaned, we did things, we took on holidays, we went on walks, but we didn't say, I love you. But there's something happens, and I've found it in my latter years, is when you start telling the people around about you, you love them, it makes it okay for them to say it as well. Go on, try it. Muster up that courage and tell the person. They might have a look on their face that says, what are you doing? We don't do that thing in this family. But if you do it consistently, things change. And when we look at how we are, if we do what Sandra spoke of and see our parents as the grown-ups, they thought they were grown-ups, they were but children, then we can do what Phil and I say in most of our courses, be the kindest person in the room. When things are said out of character, when they're said because they didn't know better, when they haven't had the chance to correct, be the kindest person in the room. You are then being the very person that your parent brought you into this world to be, the kindest person in the room. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Kerry, and I'd like to thank Sandra for those wonderful words, and Darren as well for picking his theme, because I think it's a marvelous theme and a marvelous opportunity, not just to speak our truths, but to hear each other's thoughts. As Sandra spoken about having gratitude for life and gratitude for her dad and parents and everything, and to how Kerry was brought up and how we all in some ways show our love in different ways. Because it's those words that got me to think, because I thought, what am I going to say? What am I going to talk about? And I thought to myself, I know I can talk about X, Y, and Z. But then as I heard Sandra and Kerry speak, I thought, no, I need to speak from my heart, just like the theme, from the heart. And I actually think that it was somebody's comment in the chat box that said they did their best. And I thought, how true is that quote? They did their best, because there's no manual that says this is how to be a mother, this is how to be a father. It's actually something we learn in that moment, and we look to our parents to see how they did things. And the strongest person in my life is my father. He's always been there. He's always said something. He's always had the answer. He's always been able to look outside that box and see the issue and bring my awareness to it, but not in a patronizing way, not in a way that was lecturing, but in a way that made me think, nurturing, coaching, giving me that foresight and understanding, allowing me to be the person that I am to make my decisions. And it's something that, as Sandra spoke, that penny dawned on me. And I thought, my word, I am my Father's son, because I do exactly the same with my children. So much so, I was giving a lecture to my youngest just recently saying, do you know how silly that is? Do you know how dangerous that is? We've all done it as a parent, haven't we? And you know what comes back? Well, I'm not doing anything that you haven't done, Dad. And I thought, oh no. And he'd been cliff jumping. And I said, yeah, I know that you know that, and we shouldn't be doing it. And there's all we can more. But it's funny, isn't it, that we are the best examples of our parents. We are the best work of our parents, because they raise us in a way to be good, to understand morals, ethics, to have understanding, to be the kindest person in the room. All those little things they do for us that we think, or they think, we don't notice. We do. They show us right from wrong. They steer us in the right way. So actually being able to speak from the heart today is to say a big thank you. A thank you for them bringing me into this world and allowing me to be the person that I am, but also to listen to Sandra and Kerry's words to help me see things that we take for granted, because we're busy, being busy, getting on with our lives, and we do take them for granted. And it's when things happen and we don't see them anymore, we don't have them around, we miss them, and we wish that we'd done different things, that we'd spent more time with them. Well, as a medium, I know those in the spirit world are with you today. All those fathers will be with you. All those people that were like a father will be with you. And it's not just today, it's every day. Because no matter whatever happens, if you think about it, your mum, your dad, your parents, those people that took on them roles were always there for us. They didn't want gratitude. They didn't want thank yous. Yes, they taught us to be polite and say, yes, please, and thank you. But they didn't do it out of necessity. It was through love. What Sandra, what Darren, what Scott, what Kerry, what I do here on the Sunday gathering and in every other bit of our lives is through love. We want to educate, we want to help, we want to inspire. And hopefully our words are good enough, because we have those triggers within us. Are we good enough? What will people think of us? Are these words clever enough? All those fears, all those worries are somewhere within us, whatever we do. But it's our parents that helped us overcome those worries, those beliefs, those self-limiting beliefs. They wanted us to be the best version of them, the best version of ourselves, to fulfill our potential. So every day we should have gratitude. Gratitude for life, gratitude for who they are and who they were, but also that understanding that they showed us a direction of who to become. We found a purpose, we found a passion, we found a truth, but also we found the authentic self of who we are. Knowing that they are responsible for that will help you understand how proud they must be of all of us. Whether they're here, whether in the spirit world, or whether there's distance between us at this very moment, they will be proud. They do have emotions, they do have thoughts. And I know it's my dad that said something to me quite recently and shared a lot of his memories and said, do you remember when we went on holiday here? Do you remember when we went here? And do you remember when we did this? Oh, and I remember it. And I thought to myself, actually, he's given and dedicated his life to raising his children, for me and my brothers. We're the same. I'm lucky enough to have 3 children. I still remember their births. I remember my daughter was my first child, who's the oldest. And I remember where I was, what I was doing. And just like my son had an answer for everything, I remember that day, because I used to be working within a horticultural society and work. And I was on that day, I was on a tractor, believe it or not, huge, great big thing. And when I got the phone call, yes, I know we're not meant to drive and answer the phone, but then we're going back some time, and I was in the middle of the field, wasn't causing any problems. And I jumped off the tractor while it was moving and shouted, yes. The gratitude for life that day. Then I just looked around and this tractor's just plowing away through so it was a quite funny scenario, but I'll never forget it. Never forget that moment of joy. And what I'm asking you is to find that joy every day of your life to have that gratitude for being alive and for what you've been given. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Carrie and Phil. Oh, from the heart, my heart feels a little sore right now because as we were sitting there with the healing song, I was thinking of my dad, and gosh, he just feels so close with a big smile and so proud of me. And I miss him. And with love, especially if our loved one has passed into the unseen world, comes grief. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it's tough to even think of my dad because it's kind of opens up Pandora's box, and the grief and all that pain and discomfort floods in. You know, I still live with not great relationships with my siblings since my dad died. And that weighs heavy on my heart. And I was just thinking, as Carrie and Phil were talking, about how often do I take my own advice? You know, it's pretty funny because you hear me talk every week. I'm always filled with some wonderful words of inspiration. But how often do I hold that mirror right back on myself? And I was thinking about my dad, and he had a tough time growing up. His dad worked 3 jobs. My grandfather worked so hard to make ends meet. And of course, that probably didn't help so great in the relationship with his wife and with the children. And of course, my parents didn't have a great relationship and got divorced. And, you know, going back, my grandfather's father, he didn't even know him. My grandfather's father had a whole separate family with somebody else, right? So I technically shouldn't be a Champlain. Old Pasqualini D'Annunzio came over from Italy and had 3 children with a lady named Hortense Champlain, who was a Native American, part of a tribe. And her heritage, when I got my DNA checked, is mostly from Africa. Most of the Indians from that tribe originated from slavery dating back into Africa. So clearly within my lineage, there's been some tough times for some tough people. And I would say the same thing holds true with you and your life. So back to taking my own advice, make it personal here. Forgiveness, yes, but also trust, because had those things not happened exactly the way they did, I wouldn't be with you guys today. I wouldn't know Carrie and Phil and Darren and Scott. I wouldn't know such deep grief that would have led me to explore grief and the afterlife, and we just wouldn't be together today. And I think I said this last week, that sometimes it takes going a couple of years forward for us to figure out some of the things that have happened to us and what we learned out of them and what had to happen exactly the way they did for us to be who we are today. So taking my own advice right now is I sure am lucky for all the relationships in my life, the ones that I think are great and the ones that I think are not great. Somehow the not great ones fuel me to find answers and to share even more. There was one woman who wrote me, and she said before her dad passed, she made each of her 6 siblings read my book. And if they didn't want to read the whole book, read the chapter on grief. Read how your mind changes and how grief can interfere so much with what it is to be human. And they did. And when I think it was the father who passed away, they didn't fight. They knew what was expected and how they would feel. So they stayed together. And I thought that was worth it. And there's plenty of other stories that I've not heard, but I'm glad I've gone through what I have. And even right now, this moment of tenderness in my heart, I am grateful. Before our Sunday gathering came along, I was introduced to the SNUI, and they do a Sunday service as well. Most of the time there's students, and it's a small group that got together. And I was one of, I think, 12 people that was in the audience that day. And the student medium started, and she says, I have a father here who says his daughter is here. and said that earlier today you were out mowing your lawn. I thought to myself, well, I was mowing my lawn. And he says, this woman was out for a walk. And like a little kid, she picked up a dandelion and blew it and just said, Dad, if you're here, I just love a sign. And you made a wish. And ladies and gentlemen, I had gone for that walk and felt like a little kid and bent down and picked up that dandelion and blew it. And in that moment, I was so happy, just like, okay, Pop, you are here. You are here. And so I feel so delighted that we can bring that part of the evidential mediumship to our Sunday gathering. And even if you don't get the message, you know that your loved ones are nearby. And I'm not a parent, but I see this on TV all the time. And I've heard parents say this. We just want our kids to be happy. Kids, and I'm looking at you, are you happy? Now, your mind might first go to, oh, I don't have this, and oh, I haven't done this. But are you happy? I'm sure parents want our lives to be a little bit easier, a little bit more joyful than they had it. And although our humanity always wants to look for what's undone, feel guilty and stew about things we could have done differently, what is the truth? Are you happy? Can you set those things aside? So my request for all of us, self included, is to right now, for ourselves, put aside that mind of things you haven't done yet, things you should have done differently, and just be happy. Be grateful for who you are. And you know what, my friend? You yourself are a living legacy. Because even if you don't have children, or maybe you do, the person you're being right now is impacting other people that will go on to make a difference. So acknowledge the happiness within. Acknowledge that, you know what, you're not so bad. You're pretty darn great, as a matter of fact. Acknowledge what you have. Acknowledge love. And maybe today, maybe this week, instead of letting that little voice interfere, put that smile on your face. Give somebody a compliment. Be positive, because you are helping shape others, whether you know it or not. So be that love in the world, will you? And with that, I say thank you. My heart is now full. My face hurts from smiling. And we're going to move on to our demonstration of mediumship. Now, in our opening song, you saw beautiful daughter and father singing, and we'll have another one of those. We'll actually have a couple more songs with fathers singing in our upcoming songs today. But as we move into our demonstration of mediumship, my dearest friends, Carrie and Phil, are both our working mediums today. And while I'm sure there are thousands of dads present in the spirit world, there's plenty of moms and friends and sisters and brothers and cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents as well. While there might be 100+ of us gathered here today, there could be thousands of them. So they'll take turns from the spirit world, that is, and work with Carrie and Phil. And Carrie and Phil are trained and practiced, and they will do their very best to give the information as they're receiving it from our spirit friend. Our loved ones are very much alive and well. They might not breathe the same air we breathe, or not need to breathe air at all, but they're very real people. So they'll plant some seeds of pictures and thoughts and memories and feelings within each Carrie and Phil. They'll start off by giving a few initial bits of information about the person that has contacted them. So you'll hear them say, well, I might have a mother here, and give some details. We want you to be on the edge of your seat and really listen in clearly. Listen to see if this is a person you know. The spirit world folks are very smart. They only work with people within our Zoom room right here. They know who's here. They do. So if you can understand every word that Carrie or Phil says about the person that is in the spirit world that they're talking about, we're going to ask that you raise your hand. That could be a loved one. It could be a parent. It could be a friend. It could be somebody a little distant. But don't feel nervous about pressing your raise hand button. I know it's easy to be nervous or scared, but do it anyways. Be courageous. And again, if you can accept all the words that they're saying. If you can't, and there might be a couple of things off, just wait. Let them do the work and more finely detail the information about the person. When we find who the recipient is, we will ask you to press your unmute button. You can't see that right now, but I will press a special button there. And I forgot to tell you, if you can accept all the information that they're saying, we want you to press your raise hand button so we know who we're looking for. Forgot to tell you that. If you are here for the first time or you do just like pressing buttons, find your raise hand button right now and press it. I'll even do it too. There we go. I know we've got some new friends here. We've got some new names popping up. All right. And then you can press the button. It should say lower hand. Press that now too. When you work with Carrie and Phil, we always ask that you just give us the minimal response. Yes, no, or I don't know to the words they say. Okay. No simply means new opportunity. You won't hurt them by giving them a no. If you can't understand the information, that's fine. They'll just dig back down to see what else they can give you for that. So yes, no, or I don't know. And I think that's it. If I missed something, we'll get to it in the next part. Our song today is probably a song that you know, but working a little Sandra magic. 2 years ago, we did a special Sunday gathering on Father's Day. And I didn't have time to prepare this for this week, but we had asked the people in our community to send pictures in of their dads. So what I'd like to do is play that video along with our song right now. And even if your dad is not in the video, imagine he is. And it's just a little tribute to dads, to a beautiful song. And this is a father-daughter duo singing our next song. Okay, so just feel some joy. Our loved ones are all around us in this invisible space. You can enjoy the video, enjoy the song. Here we go. There it is. Welcome back, everyone. Hello, Phil.
Hello, Sandra. And you don't have to work your magic. I know you said you did that a while ago, a couple of years ago, but it still just has the same effect. It fills us full of joy, emotion, and even that song stirs so many memories in us all. And to let the audience know, it's one of my favorite songs, and we love demonstrating to it. And I can see the effect it's had on you, Sandra, because I can see the tears there as well. So well chosen, you two. Well done, sort of thing. So my job is to work for the spirit world. And as Kerry pointed out, it's our second time of demonstrating today. So it's an absolute pleasure as always. So I'm going to move my mind to the spirit world and let them impress upon it. And if you understand that information, please just put your hand up and we'll work from there. So as I become aware of the spirit world, I know that I hear Dad, and I know so I've got Dad with me. And as I get to know Dad here, I know he's a strong-minded gentleman. I know he passed with cancer, but I also feel here there's a love of driving with him. And I actually feel he was he either drove large vehicles like lorries or that kind of large vehicle for a living as well. And I actually feel with him, he doesn't feel that old when he passes. So I know I'm in my 50s, maybe 60s, but I know I'm not old when I pass. So I know I have father. I know he would have drove large vehicles like lorries or some kind of big truck like that. But I know it's cancer, and I know he didn't have that long life. I feel I was in my 50s, 60s.
Thank you very much. And you can raise your hand, ladies and gentlemen, if you can understand this information. Yes. We have two folks with their hands.
Okay, there's two people, that's fine, okay. But I actually feel here that Dad would have pointed out what kind of trucks he drove and would have shared experiences and stories about it with the person I want to speak to.
All right. Alan and Pat, does that hold true for you? I see your hands are still raised.
Okay. Down to one now.
Down to 1. Very
Good.
good, Phil.
Good.
And we have Alan. Alan, if you could press your unmute button. Hi, Alan.
Hello.
Hello, Alan. You understand everything I've said?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you understand where Dad had a passion for large vehicles, though?
Yeah, we used to drive a lot of lorries when he was younger.
Okay, I know I mentioned the lorries, but it's almost like he would be fascinated with all kinds of vehicles. The bigger, the better.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because I know there's this sense with him. But I actually feel there must be a memory where he took you in the cab of one of the lorries, Alan.
Yeah.
Because it just feels, it's going to sound really strange. It feels like I want to put you behind the wheel while I'm there and let you feel the power and see the size of it.
That actually happened once. Yeah, I remember that well.
Because I actually feel that this is what he's doing with me. And it's almost like giving you an insight. But Dad used to let you press the buttons. I'm not sure if it's pull the horn or press the button where the horn went off.
Yeah.
Because again, it's just that, but I know this is how Dad showed his love and showed his pride, because I actually felt he wasn't just took you into the lorry, he must have taken you into his workplace as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And I also feel there that he would have shown you off to his work colleagues.
Yeah.
And it's almost where he would have worked or where he worked, he would have taken you through the plant or the factory, the building.
Yeah.
Because again, it's almost like I want to show you what I do, how I spend my days. I want to open your mind to different things. And it's almost where he would have bought you a little toy truck at one time as well.
I think so, yes.
And I actually want to say it's like a model one, not one that you put together, but it's one that you would today keep in its box, and there'd be a little bit of value to it, because I know here it was just something. In fact, I want to say it was one of the lorries he drove, a particular make and model.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Then he
No.
must have just been passionate about all kinds of trucks.
Oh, very passionate.
Okay, but I also know the way your father's being. He was very nurturing in everything he did.
Yeah.
And would I be right in saying he'd like to go for days out driving as well?
Yeah.
And would I be right in saying these days out, he would take you through forest areas and woodland and the countryside?
All over the place.
Yeah. Because it feels like I don't want to be on the main roads. It feels like I want to go exploring down the country lanes.
That's right. Yeah.
And it feels, he never got lost, by the way. He just found a new way.
That's right.
Because again, even when he wasn't lost, he would never admit it, but he would always find his way. And I know your dad had a good sense of direction, and it's almost like he could work his way without even looking at maps or street signs.
That's right. He had the map in his head.
Because it just feels I know which way to go, and I know.
Yeah.
And would I be right in saying, Alan, that your dad at one time was part of the Boy Scouts?
Not that I know of.
Not the. Would I be right in saying it
But
was
I
you,
do know
Alan?
what you mean by that, though.
Okay, then there must have been like an organization or something, because it's not just he didn't need a map. He could tell where the sun was in the sky. And I know some people talk about this. They can tell what time of day it is. So I know your dad was quite well versed in that association of life.
Well, my dad, in fact, told lots of different stories, whether they were true or not, I don't know.
Just yeses and no. But I know he would have different things. Would I also be right in saying your dad would do little tricks for you as well?
Yeah.
Almost like the coin behind the ear as well.
That's right.
But I also know there's really fond memories of your dad when he used to pinch your nose. You know, when he put it between your thumb and pretend. I used to do that with my daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
And my daughter used to end up in tears because she thought I'd actually stolen her nose. But I know here it's that fondness your dad brings in with it as well. But would I be right in saying where we used to live with Dad at one time would have been like a seaside town?
No.
It wasn't. Then would I be right in saying where we used to live at one time, we would have lived on a hill?
No.
Now, I know you're saying no, and it's not where you live now, is it, Alan?
No.
Right. There must be, no, he's quite adamant. Bear with me 1 second. Would I be right in saying at one time we used to live on Hill Road?
No.
But Hill Road must associate to you.
Well, if he does, I can't remember it.
That's fine, because I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to make it fit. I know there's something to that. I know where we used to live at one. Bear with me, Alan, a second. Would I be right in saying where we used to live was like on the rise of a hill where it was starting to climb at one time with your dad?
No.
Definitely not. I know there's something I can't let go of this. I'm going to hold this. This might be my next contact because it's very strong. And I know you're giving me good, clear no's, but I also know your dad was very strong-minded as well.
Yeah.
Because I know each time I go back and you say no, he won't change his mind. Would I also be right in saying that your dad was quite patriotic?
In what way?
In the way that he loved his country?
Yes, yeah.
Because I know here, and when I say country, it feels where he wants to be. It's almost like he wants to stand up for workers' rights, almost like be part of a union and trade unionist.
Oh, a bit like Afghani, yeah.
Yep, that's fine, because I know this is how he seems to come across and the way he does. But I also know, and I know you've said no, but he keeps on showing me the same image. It's not my next contact, it's still with you. So please let me know afterwards if it comes to mind, because I know Dad was strong-minded. The reason Dad's come today is just to give you that upliftment and that little bit of push by bringing those memories back of when he took you into the truck and how proud he is, because he wants you to know how much he loves you still.
That's strange because I've been asking about him all day.
There you go then. Shows the intelligence, doesn't it? So I'm going to thank you, Alan, for allowing me to work with you and delivering that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Phil.
Good.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening in so close.
There's something here, and it might be me. I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm going to stay with this. I need to speak to somebody that either lived on Hill Road or Hill Street, and it must make sense to them. I know also they have Dad in the spirit world, but I know here we would have lived at one time where there was a view over either a landscape or from a hillside. So I know where this Hill Road is, it would have been on a hill.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, who understands this information?
Nobody coming forward. That's fine.
I might have spoke too soon. Lisa's got her hand up. Let's bring in Lisa. Well, Lisa, if you could unmute yourself. I accidentally muted you. No, Lisa, your hand is raised.
There you go.
Hello,
Hi.
Lisa.
Hi, Phil. Hi, Sandra.
Does this make sense to you? I know I've done your contact a few times and one last week, so I need to check in because
Okay.
Okay.
It does match, but I'm not sure if it's...
Right, okay. It does match. So you used to live on Hill Road?
We lived on a hill.
On a hill. No, I want to stay. Thank you for coming forward. Just hearing
You're
you
welcome.
doesn't feel right. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Lisa. Okay.
Okay, Jim has his hand up, and Sharon. Let's see here. All right, Jim and Sharon, you both lived on a hill road or something. Now we've got 3 hands up. So Phil, you may want to review the evidence.
That's fine. Okay. Because it just feels where either I want to live, and I'm sure it's Hill Road, and I know where we must have lived would have been on a hill where I can see the countryside, and I actually know as well there would have been water. We can see water as well. So one of these people would understand it.
Okay, let's bring in Jim. Jim has his hand raised. Jim, could you press your unmute button, please? Jim C, are you there? You have not unmuted yourself. Now, Sunshine just put up her hand as well. Jim, as we wait for you, it could be an accident that you have your hand raised. Sunshine, there he is.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, Jim, understand what I've said?
This is Sue, Jim's wife, and
Oh, hi, Sue.
we grew up on Sportsman's Hill Road, and from the backyard there was a view, and at the bottom of the cliff was a pond.
That's fine, because I know I can see water. Thank you very much. I know there was something about the name of the road. I'm going to try and work with you. Sue, was it? Is it
Yes.
Sue? Yes, Sue. Okay.
Mhm.
And I want to talk about Dad in the spirit world, Sue.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes. Would I be right in saying that's where you used to live? And would I be right in saying your dad was a very factual, proud man?
Yes. He was very proud.
Because,
yes, we lived
and
there.
again, and it's almost like I want to talk about where Dad would do his best to provide for the family.
Yes.
And would I be
absolutely.
right in saying he would work more than one job? There would be a memory of that.
No, not in my life.
Not in your life.
When he was
Then
young.
if he didn't work, okay, if he didn't work more than one job, would you understand where he worked long hours?
Yes. Mhm.
Because I know here it feels like I'm out in the morning and out at night. But I also know with your father, he was a very, not just proud, he was a very family oriented man as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it just feels where I want to, there should be memories of where we lived there, where he would have pointed things out in the countryside and different, almost like showed you different areas.
Yes. Mhm.
Because and there must be memories when you were young where he'd point things out through the window as well.
Yes.
Because again, it's just these memories. But I also feel your dad had a wonderful way of connecting things in storybooks to real events as well.
Hmm.
Would I be right?
Don't remember that.
Would I be right in saying he used to read you stories?
Yes. The
And would I
wind
be
and
right?
the willow.
Bear with me. But would I be also right in saying he used to have a real good way of sometimes making stories up for you?
No, I don't remember that.
Because I know he's got a wonderful mind and a wonderful creativity to him. And if I said nothing was too much trouble for him, would you understand?
Yes. Mhm.
Because again, it's almost like I go to, and if I said he was really polite as well.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
I know when you said no, it comes back in a different way, but it's not to prove you wrong. It's such a polite and elegant way. And I know a lot of people seem to endear to him as well. So I know he was well liked.
Yes, very much so.
And when I say well liked, I want to say he was well liked in the area we lived, the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know he was well liked at work as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And if I'm right here, you've been thinking about him today.
Yes.
And I know you've been talking about him as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And would I be right in saying it'd be lovely if he, well, you've said it'd be lovely if he came through on the gathering?
Yes.
Because I know he says, I was listening to you talk and I heard that bit. That's why I've come forward here as well. And I know that your dad was your rock in your life as well. Oh, have I lost you, Sue?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't hear the last thing you said.
That's fine. Do you understand where your dad was a rock to you in your life?
Oh, yes, yes.
Because I know here he's got this such a stable way about him and solid presence with me that it's just nothing phases him. He was able to help you in any way he could.
Yes, absolutely.
And I know nothing was too much trouble. And I want to say he never really complained.
No, he didn't.
And if I said that you never saw him lose his temper, would you understand?
Rarely, yes.
Because I know there's this sense of it just not coming to the fruition. It's almost like I want to say he was that perfect gentleman. Understand?
Yeah, and that one doesn't, he had
Bear
kind
with
of
me.
a, okay.
Bear with me a second. Would I be
Okay.
right in saying Jim, your husband, has characteristics of your dad?
Yes, yes, he does.
Because he says, that's what I'm meaning. So I know here is giving that blessing and everything there. And I feel that there's a bit of a joke there as well. Because it's just that, and if I said he had a really good sense of humor.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I just want to laugh with him and just make everyone laugh. And just, I have that way of lifting everyone and bringing a real presence into people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm going to leave his love with you and thank you for coming forward. But I know your dad is here just to stand with you. That being in his presence, being in his company we didn't have to speak. It was just about being together. Understand?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
No, that's what your dad wants to bring that feeling in for you and say, thank you very much for allowing me to do that, Sue.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You're
you very
absolutely
much.
welcome. Absolutely welcome. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sandra. I'm going to hand over to Kerry. I'm going to put Kerry in the hot seat because she's itching to go. So thank you very much for allowing me to be part of the service.
Oh, thank you and happy Father's Day, Phil.
Thank you.
Oh, we could love a good laugh and smile. Hello again, Carrie.
Hello, everybody. It really is a pleasure to watch Phil work watching him from the side there. And it's lovely to see families reunited. This is what mediumship is about. It isn't about anything other than reminding us of what we had, what we have, and inspire us to carry on in a fashion that makes everybody proud. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to watch it. And good night. No, not quite yet. Okay, so as I allow myself to work with the spirit world, I do feel I have Dad, but I do feel I have Dad with a bit of a sense of humor, because I know that's not quite like me to make a joke like that, like it's the end of the day, but I know that Dad would have. And I know that with Dad, I know that we just had Jim on there, but I know the name Jim or James would be Dad's name. And I also feel that he would have I know that Dad would have had an illness that was long term, but I don't feel that's what took him into the spirit world. I do feel he passed fairly quickly to the spirit world, but I do know he had a long-term illness within his torso, within his organs here. Who would understand that with Dad in the spirit world and his name being Jim or James?
Thank you, Carrie. We have Carrie with her hand raised. We'll bring in different spelling. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Carrie. You understand this is your dad?
Well, my husband comes through, he comes through a lot as a father figure.
Okay, and would you know his name to be Jim or James?
It's James. Yeah, and everyone called him Jim.
Okay, and you would know he had a long-term illness but passed very quickly of something else.
Yes, he had
Don't tell me, just yes. Okay.
Yes.
And do we have any other hands up, Sandra?
Yes, we do. Yes, we have one more hand that's up. Dory.
Okay. And Carrie, would your husband have had a very manual job?
Yes, he yes.
Okay, because I know that he would have come home with dirt in his fingernails, and he would have come home and had to scrub his hands.
Towards the end, he was like running the place, so he wasn't coming home anymore. Maybe you're with somebody else.
So allow me to do the work, Carrie. Thank you very much. So do you understand where your husband would have come home with dirt underneath his fingers?
Early on in our marriage, yes.
Okay, because I know but you also know that he would have had this strong sense of humor, of playfulness.
Yes.
Because with this playfulness, it feels like there is a really, I'm going to just check. Sandra, could I speak to the other person, please?
Absolutely. And Carrie, you just stay where you are. And Dory, if you could unmute yourself. Hi, Dory.
Hi.
Hi, Dory. I do believe I gave you a contact. Was it on the demo or last Sunday?
Last Sunday, you brought someone through.
Okay, but not your dad.
Not my dad.
Okay, and would you know your dad's name would be Jim or James?
His name was James, called Jim.
Okay, you would also know that he would have, I know that you're a little bit about your dad, but I don't know this. Would you know your dad would have had cause to come home with dirt underneath his nails and to be a bit grubby?
Yes.
Okay, would you also know with your dad this incredible sense of humor?
Yes, he had a great sense of humor.
Okay. With your dad, there must have also been this sense of him wanting to crack a joke, but sometimes it would fall on its face.
I can't remember.
So if your dad would have cracked it, I can hear myself echoing. Would you know where your dad would have not everybody saw the joke, if I put it
Yes.
that way? Because I feel like your dad cracks a joke and it's like, yeah, that one of those moments you had to be there type thing.
He wasn't good with punchlines.
Because as I came on and I did that, ta-da, I kind of felt that, yeah, okay, this is your thing to pick up now. I also know with your dad, there was an incredible understanding of intricate parts of how things were made.
Oh, I think so.
Then if you think so, with your dad, he would have paid attention to the finer details and things he was building or making.
Yes.
And Dory, would you also know where your dad would have made models with balsa wood and put things together?
No.
Mm-hmm. Would you understand somebody else in the spirit world, Dory, that would have made models with balsa wood and glued things together?
Yes.
Okay, because I know your dad is the primary communicator here, but I also know I have another person coming in that would have made, and okay. And I know this other person in the spirit world, Dory, would have had incredible detail to the glue and where everything was positioned.
Yes.
You must know where one of these models still is.
No.
Then there must have been one of those models that was spoke about and mentioned regularly.
No.
Really? And one of those models would have been an aircraft with the double wings on it.
Yes.
Okay, then I do know that whatever this model aircraft is, he's incredibly proud of it. And it's almost like, yeah, people should still be talking about that. Could be another one of your dad's punchlines, but I do get that sense of there's an incredible pride. Joy, would this be your husband?
Yes.
Okay, and with your husband, there is, and he would have made the models.
Yes.
He's not quite as funny as your dad, I have to say.
Right.
He has a sweetness to him, as your dad is pretty forward with his sense of humor, and you just had to accept him as he arrived at your door, whereas your husband a little bit more etiquette about him.
Perhaps.
I know with your husband, with this model, you must have sat and watched him make this model aeroplane.
No.
Then you saw the model aeroplane though?
No.
Then you must have seen photographs of your husband with this though, because I know he shows me him holding it.
No.
Really?
Yes.
I almost want to say I don't believe you. I have to believe you because you were there, but I know your husband must have given you great details of,
yes,
almost down to, well, I did that there and I did that there and when I did that, and because I almost feels like you followed the journey of the making of this.
He told me about it. Yes.
Okay. I also need to say that your husband would have taken you to an air show as well.
Yes.
Because at that air show, I know your husband must have known quite a bit about aeroplanes, but I actually feel like he let on that he knew more than he did.
I don't know.
Then there must have been times where he was speaking to you where you thought, no, you don't quite know. Dory, when you and him first started courting, would you know that he took you to something like that in the early days?
I can't remember when the air show was.
Oh, okay. So I get this feeling of your husband wanting to put on a grand show, but in actual fact, he realizes now he didn't need to put on that grand show of needing to know more.
Yes, that's correct.
Because I know you and him would have had conversations together about honesty and about fully understanding one another.
Yes.
And he would have fully and unequivocally accepted you for who you are.
Yes.
I know that your dad would have done it similarly, but in a different way, because I know your dad wanted to support you, but I know your husband gave you the support and
Yes.
egged you on and said, yes, you can do that.
That's correct.
Then I have to say both of them are here. I do know your husband wants to remind you of remembering this plane that he told you in great detail about. And I know that he knows I can't give that in that way. So I'll just let him sort that out. He's very clever, your husband. He knows the rules of mediumship.
He's clever.
He's very clever. Then you must have, I know your husband lets me know that you have been making plans for you for the future.
Sort of.
Oh, then in relationship to your work and you're in service to the spirit world.
Yes.
Okay. Then there's no way I can prove this, but he's got this plane and he's, because it's also good, he's set it with flight and he's wanting, as the song and the healing, the wind beneath your wings. It is to let you know he is there with you. You make the decisions. He will help you the best he can to do what you want to do.
I understand.
And I know your dad is sending the love, unconditional love to you, but I do feel that your dad would like to have spent a little bit more time talking to you when he was still breathing here.
I understand that too.
And I know there is some details that you are, did you give Dory a contact earlier on? Today. Because your dad's just given me this, and I know I've had a memory because Phil gave you a contact in the last service, but I know your dad wants to acknowledge the gaps will be filled in terms of family, in terms of names, in terms of memory. I don't know how that relates to what Phil gave you earlier on.
I do.
You
I
do?
do.
Then
yes.
I trust your dad and your husband completely. I'm going to say thank you very much for allowing me to do that, Dory.
Thank you. It's the first time my dad.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Dory. Thank you, Carrie. And thank you, Carrie, for listening in as well.
Okay, I do feel I have a young man here. And I know that this young man wants to reach out to Dad. Mum might well be with Dad as well, but I know I have a son reaching out to Dad. And I know that there's an incredibly fast passing to the spirit world. And I know that this passing would have in some way been the responsibility of this young man. And I know that this young man is very much what we would call a quiet wee lad in Scotland. He's not for catching the attention of everybody. He goes about his business. He does the best he can do. But I know that this passing is quick and it feels like wrong time, wrong place, wrong people. Does that make sense to somebody here?
Thank you, Carrie. No hands up just yet.
I actually get a sense that this young man is, I I actually have a feeling he would have had a motorbike. I'm not saying he passed on a motorbike, but I feel he had a motorbike. And I do feel that there is a real shyness about him. He's not a big talker. And I get this sense that somebody would understand him in the way that I've described it. I do believe somebody's not putting up their hand.
Would you, oh, Mallory's got her hand up. I was going to ask you just to review the information, but Mallory is here. Mallory, could you unmute yourself, please? Hi, Mallory.
Hello. Can you hear
Hi, Mallory.
me? Hi,
Yes.
Carrie.
All this makes sense to you?
Yes, I was waiting, sorry, but yes, it does make sense, all of it.
Okay, you understand. Now, I know you've got a brother in the spirit world, so I have to say that up front. I didn't know the relationship when he came in. That's just so that my mind doesn't come in and try and pinpoint people I know. But you would know that your brother was quite shy and retiring.
Yes.
He did not want to be the center of attention.
Absolutely.
Then his passing must have been wrong time, wrong place, wrong people.
Yes.
Because I get a sense of I knew better.
Yes.
I also know with your brother, he must have had a record collection that you looked through after he passed.
He had one.
Okay, then in that record collection, there must have been some heavy metal records.
I can't remember.
Because I know I'm seeing the album front of an AC/DC album. So he would have, I'm not saying he loved heavy rock, but I do know that he would have had that there. But I also know he must have enjoyed some jazz as well.
No, I can't take that.
Really? Then with your brother, Mallory, he would have known the types of music that you would have liked?
Yes.
And you would have liked some jazz music?
Yes.
Okay. And you must have been to a jazz festival or a jazz concert since your brother's passed?
Ooh. No.
Okay. Then I know he wants to acknowledge him watching you listening to some live jazz on the radio or some live jazz podcast, because I know that this is what he's giving me. Mallory, you would also understand the name Patrick.
Yes.
Okay, because I get this feeling that your brother's just so desperate to get information that you would understand from him. But Patrick would have been not your brother's name, but you would know he knew Patrick.
He did.
Okay, but he's still here?
No.
In the spirit world?
Yes.
Then you must have been speaking to friends of your brother, and they must have been saying, I wonder if they're together. I wonder if, but I want to say it in a really fascinating and humorous way, in a loving way, not in a mournful way.
Yeah. No, I can't take that.
Okay. Because I know your brother wants to acknowledge he's heard you speaking to other people about him since he's passed.
Yes, yes.
But okay. I also know he wants to acknowledge that this is incredibly important today. I know it's Father's Day today, but there is
Patrick was as a father. Yes.
Okay, because I knew that he was referring to like he wanted to talk to Dad, but I know that Mallory, your dad's not in the spirit world though.
He's not.
Then I know that your brother is referring to who, if this is Patrick, referring to, because you have asked the question, are you together? Have you met up? Are you having the laughs like you did?
No.
Then I have to say, I know what your brother's giving me, that this meeting up with Patrick in the spirit world has been spoken about by somebody.
Okay.
Because I know that that's where he brings his Patrick in. But I also need to say with your brother, there's an incredible sense of him wanting to, he was very protective of you, and he
Yes.
still is.
Yes.
And I know you've spoken about some changes about you, so that's not anything that I can verbalize on behalf of your brother. But I know your brother wants to share with you that this morning your mind went to him because of a piece of music.
I'm going to say no, but I understand, Carrie.
Then I know there is a particular piece of, I'm going to say there's a particular piece of music that reminds you of your brother.
Yes.
Okay. And you were also thinking about your brother this morning.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I know today, although it's Father's Day, I know today is important to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say thank you for allowing me to do that for you with, in communicating with your brother, but I also need to leave with you. Your brother would say to you some words of support. I know he was very protective of you, but I know he would have had words of support for you.
Yes.
And I know he wouldn't have been very forthright with his words.
Yes.
But I know I'm just trying to change it. He's given me it in a way that it's not correct to say on here. If I said to your brother, would just say, grab the bull by the horns and go do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's polite. That's a polite version. I know he sees what's going on with you right now. I know that what needs to happen is not within your control, but there are elements that he feels are within your control. Focus on them.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to say thank you for allowing me to do that, Mallory.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
Carrie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you,
And
Mallory.
I'm going to say thank you very much, Darren, for today's theme. It has been an absolute pleasure to take part in the address as well as the mediumship. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Carrie and Phil. Oh, we love you guys. Just some announcements of what's coming up in a week's time, almost next Saturday. We have Sonia Rinaldi back with us. On Saturday, she will be doing a presentation since the movie has come out, what her latest experiments are. And she's got a big file of unknown faces that have seemed to come up. So we're going to have a 2-hour event with her with questions and answers. And she's going to be doing one of her power-packed PowerPoint presentations. That's a mouthful. Also, this Tuesday, our friend Scott Milligan is doing 2 Sitting in the Power hours. If you would like to join us for that, one at 8 a.m. London time, one at 5 p.m. On Friday, he's back with us with In the Arms of Eternity. We first start sitting for healing, and then it is a demonstration of trance mediumship with questions and answers for a friend in the spirit world. Always wonderful. We've just announced our new classes for July, so they are open for registration. We have Mondays with Scott Milligan and myself, Trance in the Altered States. New class with Carrie and Phil, Tuesdays in July. And it is all about, the word escaped me, guys. I know it. Tell me. I can't believe I just went totally blank on my mind.
Inspired writing.
This month is inspired writing. Next month is psychic tools and psychometry.
Psychometry. That's it. That's it. That's it. Isn't that funny? All of a sudden gone. Too much in the moment. I lost it. Psychometry. Yes, you can hold an old object or something that belonged to someone else and work with psychic tools to really unfold your psychic abilities. A fun course open to all. Wednesdays is psychic development with Carrie and Phil. Thursday's mediumship. We've got a great class that following Saturday with Carrie and Phil on the altered states. You know, we quiet our minds to different levels, and it's necessary for mediumship and trance, but also communication with our loved ones, healing, and they're unfolding that whole world of these altered states. And that would be the second weekend in July on a Saturday, plus lots of other good things coming up. You can find everything at wedon'tdie.com. Click on the store button or the calendar, because you know right now I am forgetful. I also just want to take a shout out to my friends, Darren, Carrie, and Phil, and myself. Just Carrie and Phil, if you've been on 2 demonstrations today, 2 spiritual services, just the love we have, you guys, for humanity on both sides of the veil is huge, really. Whether you donate or not, we're going to still keep doing these Sunday gatherings, but just knowing that Carrie and Phil have donated so much of their time today, just for the love of humanity. Just want to thank you really for that. Darren as well. And of course, it goes back to me, but we love it. We have to be here. And a thank you to those who have donated, because yes, we have put it to our Zoom technology and other things, but also a portion of it does go to us. And you've helped bring some really dark times, made them easier for us. You really have. So thank you to our friends that have donated. So with that, I'm not going to try to remember anything else. I'm going to send it over to Darren for some words of the week.
Thank you for that, Sandra, and thank you to all of you for joining us. I've not actually spoken much today because I'm trying to protect my voice and stop myself coughing. But it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to sit and listen to these guys in front of me, Sandra, Phil, and Kerry, do their talks and do their stuff. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, guys. It's really been nice to sit and listen to you guys and watch you guys work. And I don't think there's really much I can add to what they said. They've all said their own, they've all given their own words from their heart. But a few things really jumps out at me. One of the things Kerry said about, I know we can express love and emotions in many ways, but how many times do we actually say those words, I love you? And it got me thinking. I thought, you know what? I see my parents every week. We express our love in many different ways, for the day-to-day stuff you do with them. But I thought I'd never use those words. So it kind of struck a chord with me when she said, maybe we should try looking at it and saying those words, I love you, and see if there is a difference, see if there is a change. And then Phil, when Phil spoke about us being our parents' children, actually, when we look at it, we are. We all have different characters, different traits. How many times you go, oh, you look just like your father, you look just like your mother. So we've not only got those traits, but we've got behaviours that our parents have instilled in us in a good way. So yeah, I suppose that phrase, it kind of got me thinking, blimey, I never thought of it in that way. But we're our parents' children. And then when Sandra said, be happy and show gratitude of who you are. How many times do we criticize and judge ourselves for this, for that, not looking at this, not being like that? We're very good at it. We're very good at beating ourselves up about what we're not and what we should be. But actually, why not for once? Can we just not show that gratitude and that appreciation for who we truly are? And it's who our parents have brought us up to be. We can try and change it. We can try, but you know what? You can spend a lot of time and energy trying to change something you don't need to change. So I agree with Sandra. Let's be happy and show gratitude for who we actually are. And when Sandra played that video just before the demo of all the fathers, and I know it was played a couple of years ago, I was sat here with a big smile on my face, because you know what? All I could see was smiles on the faces of those fathers. You could see the smiles and the love within the eyes of those fathers. And I sat here thinking, and I thought, you know what? I can just envisage all across the world today, there's all these smiling, happy faces of all the fathers all across the world. But not only in our world, the world unseen. And I just had this vision of all these lights shining everywhere, of all these smiling, happy fathers, in both sides of the world. And do you know why? It's because of you guys. It's you that's done that. They're proud, they're happy. And if any of you are fathers or play the role of fathers, you've only got to look to your children, whether they be human children, animal children, and think of the smiles that they bring to your faces. I know I've got 4-legged children, and they make me laugh, they make me smile, they make me emotional. That's what being a father is all about. So today we're not only celebrating Father's Day, but I know 2 ladies have just educated me. It's actually Juneteenth Day, if I'm pronouncing it right, in America. And it's a celebration of the end of slavery in the USA. You learn something new every day, and it falls on June the 19th, which is why it's called I can't pronounce it now, I've forgotten it now. But, you know, we've got two things to celebrate, Father's Day and the end of slavery in the USA. But when you're having those thoughts and those smiles later on, don't forget to be you and do what the guys here have done today. They've spoken from the heart, you know, and I know we've spoken about it time and time again on these different gatherings, but how many times do we say, be yourself, don't try to copy anyone, don't try to be anyone else, be the true you and speak from the heart as well. That's what your parents wanted for you, and that's what we want for our children. So just remember that. And I'll now hand you to Phil for the closing prayer.
Thank you, Darren, for those wonderful, wise words and true reflections of today's Sunday gathering, and those words of your heart for everybody to listen to as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to serve the Sunday gathering, but this is the time we join together in what we call prayer and think of our loved ones, but have openness within your hearts for the gratitude of life and that inspiration that those fathers and mothers have given you, so we can all rejoice in that happiness that Darren spoke about. So if you could close your eyes and go into that divine power. Great infinite Spirit, we've joined together under that banner of We Don't Die, the banner of the Sunday gathering, where we all join together for that inspiration for the week ahead. We've listened to each speaker with those divine words and experiences to bring that inspiration to you, the living. It is Father and Mother, that gracious blessing we ask for within this community to keep us safe and well and in good health, but knowing that our positive, inspirational minds can make a change within others. It's to lead by example of that truth within you and how you can be that shining light for others. Again, we give that gratitude for those people that brought us into this life and gave us life. Amen. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much, Phil. Happy Father's Day to all. And we're going to leave you with the closing video of a father and son. We've seen this duo before, not for a while. The father has dementia and doesn't remember a lot of things, but as a musician, he remembers song. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful demonstration of father and son's love and music. Here we go.